Unfortunately, what I see a lot of times with slip and falls is that a lot of folks attribute their injury to maybe just being clumsy or it just being an accident. But what happens is that there's actual issues with how some of these businesses manage slip and falls and liquids on the ground. It's important that we establish that they had some sort of records of inspection or any kind of procedures in place to make sure that something like this should not have happened. And unfortunately, a lot of times businesses do not have those protocols in place, which kind of leads these type of falls to be a ticking time bomb. The responsibility for the surface when someone is walking really goes to the landowner, but that can kind of vary based on different types of relationships a landowner might have. The landowner might have, let's say, a maintenance company that's responsible for the surface on the ground. There might be a company that handles snow and ice removal, or it could just be a tenant. So it's our job to investigate that and get leases and different contracts to figure out who else is responsible for this dangerous condition. When you fall, it's very important first to recognize what you fell on. And the best way to do that is by taking pictures, because these types of issues get cleaned up fairly quickly, and it's hard to try to prove a case when we don't necessarily know what the condition was of the ground when you did fall. There are many times a lot of witnesses that are in play. Don't assume that the police are going to talk to the witnesses and get their contact information, because a lot of times, unfortunately, witnesses' identities go away. It's also extremely important to assess your body. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Are you feeling anything that is causing you pain? And it's very important to seek medical attention right away. What you also want to do is alert someone. It's important to let someone who works there, a store manager or an employee, let them know what happened. Mostly because we want to make sure no one else gets hurt, but then also there's a record of what happened to you. And if worst case scenario, if you need to go see a doctor, seek out an ambulance or call 911. What happens after some of these types of slip and falls is that you have a lot of adrenaline going on when you suffer any kind of injury. And what can happen is that your body is not processing pain or the injuries until the adrenaline wears off. And there can be a delay when you do recognize that you have an injury. So that's why it's best to go seek medical attention when you start seeing different things going wrong with your body. But the delay itself is not a hindrance in order to bring a claim, because you know what you went through. It's important to seek legal help in these types of cases because injuries don't manifest themselves until some time. And a lot of these injuries, unfortunately, can be permanent in nature. And it's due to someone else's fault, someone else's negligence. And so it's important to seek out legal help immediately, because evidence gets destroyed, unfortunately, and memories fade. That's why it's important to seek out legal help, because the attorney can send out letters and preserve evidence and make sure that you are protected for the long run.